All right, let's jump right into this. Picture this. A simple burst pipe can pump up to 400 gallons of water into your home in just 1 hour. That's enough to fill a hot tub right in your living room. Time is literally money here, not to mention property damage. So welcome to this explainer. Today we're walking through a critical emergency guide from Smart Housing Systems Inc. that tells you exactly what to do when a pipe bursts. Consider this your rapid response playbook. To really grasp why we've got to move so fast, listen to this warning straight from the guide. A burst pipe can turn a small plumbing problem into a serious emergency within minutes. Honestly, water damage does not wait around. It spreads incredibly fast, soaking through your floors, creeping up the drywall, and ruining your personal stuff way before you even figure out who to call. Establishing a solid plan of action right now is absolutely vital to keeping a bad situation from turning into a total catastrophe. To bring some order to that potential chaos, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The burst pipe emergency itself. 2. Immediate action, getting utilities off. 3. Controlling flow and pressure. 4. Protecting your property. And 5. Documenting the scene and calling the pros.
So, starting off with Section 1, the burst pipe emergency.
The big takeaway here is what the experts call speed and sequence. You really need to burn this 3-part mantra into your memory right now. Stop the water, protect the home, document everything. I'll say it again. Stop the water, protect the home, document everything. This exact sequence is your anchor in a crisis. See, in a panic, people often try to mop up the water while the pipe is literally still spraying, or they throw out ruined stuff before snapping a photo. Stick to this sequence step by step, and you are going to mitigate the damage significantly. Moving on to Section 2, immediate action, specifically getting those utilities off. Okay, your absolute primary target here is the main shutoff valve. It's usually hanging out near your water meter or right where the main line actually enters the house. Hitting this stops all the water flowing into your home instantly. But hey, if you're panicking and just can't find it fast enough, you need a backup plan. Individual shutoff valves. If the burst happens to be under a specific sink or maybe behind a toilet, just twist those local valves to kill the water right at the source and buy yourself some precious time. But listen, water is not the only hazard we're dealing with here. If that water is pooling near electrical outlets, appliances, or God forbid your breaker panel, you've got to switch off the power to those affected areas immediately. Water and electricity are a terrifying combination. And I want to make this exceptionally clear. If you see active sparking, if you feel even a tiny shock, or if you simply feel unsafe, leave the area. Evacuate and call emergency services. You can repair a house, right? But your safety always comes first.
All right, let's look at Section 3, control flow and pressure.
So even after you've shut the main water off, you've still got heavy water sitting inside your pipes under pressure. To handle this, just open a nearby faucet. Seriously, it's that easy. It lets all that residual pressure safely drain down the sink instead of forcing its way out of the burst pipe. Once you see that pressure drop, start capturing whatever is still leaking. Grab some towels, a bucket, or if you've got one handy, a small wet/dry vacuum is awesome for this. A massive tip from the Smart Housing Systems Guide is to do everything humanly possible to avoid letting water soak into your wall cavities. Surface water is pretty easy to mop up, but water inside your walls means you'll be living with some incredibly noisy, messy demolition to fix it.
Which brings us to Section 4, protect your property.
Now we're officially at Step 2 of our sequence mantra, protecting the home from secondary damage. You need to rapidly clear out any vulnerable items from the splash zone. We're talking about shoving furniture out of the way, rolling up rugs, and getting personal items up off the floor. And if the water's already hit your carpets or flooring, removing those soaked materials as early as possible is absolutely critical. The longer wet materials sit there, the higher the chance you'll get deep structural damage and some really severe odors developing in your home.
To build on that, you've got to start the drying process immediately. Honestly, do not wait for a professional to show up to start getting the air circulating. Set up any box fans or dehumidifiers you have laying around to pull that moisture out of the air right away. And a serious word of caution here. If you actually manage to wrangle a DIY clamp or a patch over the burst pipe, remember that those are strictly short-term, temporary fixes. Real repairs need to be handled by a licensed plumber. Don't just turn the main water back on and leave the house thinking a little piece of rubber has solved the whole shebang permanently.
All right, the final phase, Section 5, document and call professionals.
This right here is Step 3 of our mantra. Before the cleanup crew even arrives, heck, even while you're actively managing the mess, pull out your phone. You want really clear photos and videos of the burst pipe itself, the surrounding surfaces, and the total extent of the water damage. Also, keep every single receipt for any emergency supplies you end up buying, whether that's extra towels, a rental wet vac, or dehumidifiers. Trust me, this documentation is absolute gold when you're dealing with repair quotes, and it's going to save you hours of headache with an insurance adjuster later.
Now, when it's finally time to make the call, remember that burst pipes don't wait for convenient business hours. Luckily, emergency dispatcher support and licensed professionals, like the team at Smart Housing Systems, operate 24/7. So don't hesitate. Call them the very second you've got the immediate situation stabilized.
When that qualified plumber does show up, their job isn't just to slap a new piece of pipe on there. Nope, they need to play detective and figure out exactly why it happened, so you're not doing this all over again next month. They'll be inspecting for a checklist of primary culprits. Was it freezing temperatures expanding the water inside? Was it long-term corrosion eating away at the pipe? Maybe excessive water pressure stressed the system, or there was a failed joint somewhere in the line. Identifying that root cause is totally essential for a permanent fix.
And you know, even after the plumber leaves and the pipe is shiny and new, your job isn't entirely done. You've got to carefully monitor the area in the following days and weeks. Keep a close eye out for any lingering dampness, warped flooring, bubbling paint, or, those gross musty odors. These are all signs of hidden moisture. If water deeply penetrated your drywall, insulation, or subflooring, you might need to bring in specialized water damage restoration pros to check for contamination or hidden mold. Addressing that moisture early on is the only way to prevent highly costly rework down the line.
So all of this brings us to one incredibly important, proactive question that I want to leave you with today. Do you know exactly where your main water shutoff is right now? Like, really think about it. If a pipe burst in your home in the next 5 seconds, could you walk straight to it, or would you be scrambling around in a panic? If you don't know where it is, make it your mission to find it today. Because when the water starts rising, knowing that single location is the difference between a small, manageable mess and a total disaster. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay prepared out there.